What's up, guys? You're listening to another episode of Selling on Amazon with Andy Isom. Our patent finally got approved 3 years later. Man, this has been quite the process, and I've been talking more and more about this in my weekly live Q&A call with my coaching program students, and I've talked about it a little bit on Instagram as well. And so a lot of people have been messaging me on Instagram saying, "Hey, can you do an episode talking more about your copyright protection and your patent protection?" So the episode today is going to be focused more on our patent, and the next episode is going to be more focused on copywriting and that whole process that we went through, because we learned a lot during that process as well. So again, today I want to talk about our patent. So before we dive into kind of the process that we went through and kind of our back and forth, let's just talk about the different types of patents. Technically, there are 3 different types of patents. And right here, I'm on the USPTO.gov website. There you can see there's a utility patent, a design patent, and a plant patent. A plant patent protects like the invention of a new species of plant. Or you'll see at the grocery store, they'll come up with like new modified fruits and vegetables and, that sort of stuff. So you can actually protect that. So if you're a scientist who comes up with your own types of plants, you can do a patent for your plant. But again, the most common are utility and design patents. So a utility patent protects, it's pretty straightforward, right? It protects the utility of your product. So the functionality of it, the machining of it, the composition of it, like all that kind of stuff could be considered a utility patent. And then there's a design patent, which protects the ornamental design of the product. So in our instance, since there's not a whole lot of functionality with a dog bandana, right? It's just a flat piece of fabric. We did a design patent to protect the shape of the bandana. So the custom cutout shape with the leather tag, that whole thing, because that was a big differentiation factor for us when we started our business, is no one else was selling bandanas like that. There was no one that had that unique shape that we had. And now there's all sorts of brands out there selling that shape. So 3 years ago, we started the process of protecting that shape, that unique shape, with a patent. Now, something very, very important to know about patents. I think this applies to utility and design patents. You have to apply for your patent within 365 days of the day it first became available for purchase by the public. And they are extremely strict on that. You can't just BS it and lie and just say, "Oh yeah, we started selling in, October or whatever," if you really started selling in July. They're going to ask for evidence. In fact, we made the statement with our patent attorney, the initial write-up, right, for our patent application, and we told them the date of our first available sale. It was some day in July, and I honestly can't really remember off the top of my head anymore, but it was a day in July, and the patent office actually came back and asked for evidence. So we had to provide, I was like on Amazon downloading reports because I created the listing on a certain day, right? But technically it wasn't really available for purchase because we had no inventory. I was just creating the listing to get our barcodes so we could, send those off to our supplier and do that whole process. So I had to get reports showing like when inventory was received at Amazon, when the very first order was placed by a customer, and make some estimations based on that, and then provide the date that was first available. And we were actually barely under a year, barely, like we were within 10 days of that 365-day cutoff. So if we waited any longer to file our patent, we would not have been able to get it because we would have been past that 1-year threshold. So very important to understand, if you are selling a product, you need to file your patent within the first year of it being available for sale. I do like the idea of proving your product in the marketplace a little bit before filing for a patent, because patents can be quite expensive. In fact, just to kind of talk about the 2 types of patents, the main types, right? The utility patent and the design patent. A utility patent can cost anywhere from, $5,000 to, $15,000 or more to file for a utility patent. A design patent, on the other hand, costs, again, this is just based on my research and talking to our patent attorney, can cost anywhere from about $2,000 to $5,000. So $2,000 to $5,000. So it's a bit cheaper to do a design patent than a utility patent. And I think it's because, this is just me just guessing, but a utility patent seems like there'd be a lot more moving parts, a lot more moving pieces, a lot more explanation in the application versus a design. You just kind of provide some drawings of like, hey, this is what the design is like. And that's pretty much it. Right here on USPTO.gov/patents, basics apply. There's a lot of good information here on what you need to provide. So like under utility patents, there's details about utility patent specification. So what needs to be on there? Details about utility patent drawings, what needs to be on there. Details about utility patent executed oaths and declarations. And then there's, additional details within all of those. Same thing for design. There's details about design patent specifications, and you can kind of see some information right there. I would highly recommend working with a patent attorney to do this. That's what we did. I'm guessing you could file a patent on your own. I don't think you need to have an attorney. Like, I don't think it's required. I could be wrong on that, so fact check me on that one. But man, it was so much easier just to work with the attorneys. Because if you don't work with a patent attorney office, you're going to have to come up with the drawings, and they have to be, again, according to the proper design specifications that the patent office requires, and then the language and everything. It was our application, guys. This is a flat piece of fabric. Our application, I think, was like a 12-page application. It was long. It was lengthy, and I read through it. I was like, oh, this is very legal jargon that is way over my head, right? So I'm like, okay, looks good. Let's send it in. So our attorney sent it in, and this was back in 2020. So this was right around July of 2020 that we filed our patent. Now, as far as like the time frame of this whole experience, after about, I want to say it was about 8 to 10 months or so, that's what it took for the patent office to respond back to us. And we got a response, and it just flat out said, rejected. And we're like, oh, dang, that sucks. Because we spent, I will say this too, our initial payment with attorney fees, filing fees, drawing, all the stuff that's included, we paid around, I'm trying to remember, it was around $2,000 or $3,000. It's around $2,000 or $3,000 for that initial filing with the patent attorney. And they come back 10 months later and say, boom, rejected. So if I didn't know any better, again, if I wasn't working with a patent attorney, I would have been like, oh crap, that sucks, we didn't get it, and call it a day. But our patent attorney told us, hey, this is common. We can file appeal. So we file an appeal. And when the patent office rejects it, I think I made it sound like they just say no, and that's it. But they say no, and they say, here's why no. And they actually provided some previous patents from, these were like 30 years old. And they say, no, you're not approved because this reason. And they'll show examples of other brands and people who have filed patents in the past. And so we file an appeal. Our attorney says, this isn't the end of the road. We can file an appeal. So he files an appeal explaining why we're different than that other patent. Because the other patent, it was different than what we were trying to file for. So he does another write-up for us, and we file again. And we pay another $1,000 or so, $1,500 maybe. That takes another 8 to 10 months or so, and we get rejected again. So I'm like, crap. I remember talking to my patent attorney on the phone. I was like, do you think this is worth moving forward? Like, can we keep appealing, or is like at some point do we just give up and say no? And he basically said, honestly, we can keep going as long as we really want to an end. Like, there's a degree where it's like you can't file any more appeals, but he's like, we honestly have about 2, 3, maybe even 4 more appeals that we could do in the future if they keep rejecting us. There's different things you can do, different, filings you can do a certain, again, this is like way over my head legal jargon, but I'm like, okay, cool. And I asked him, like, if you were in our shoes, would it be worth it to you to keep, paying for this and waiting this out? And he asked me back a really good question. He said, how important is this to your brand? How important is the uniqueness of protecting this uniqueness of your product for your brand? And I'm like, this could be huge, because if we're the only ones who are able to sell this specific type of bandana, it's a very great shape for a reason. We came up with this shape for a reason. He said, well, there you go. Like, if it costs just a couple of $1,000s more to keep this thing going, and it could potentially make you tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars forever, right, for getting the patent, then why not, right? Said, yeah, let's do it. So we kept going for it. We filed another appeal, paid another $1,000, $1,500 or so to do another appeal. So by this time, we were pushing $5,000, maybe $6,000 deep on this. And I'm trying to remember like the full timeline. It's been 3 years, honestly. That was July 2020. Now it's September 2023 that we're finally in. And I'm trying to remember if we did 2 or 3 appeals, but I feel like there was one other rejection. I feel like we got rejected twice, but on the final one, it was just like a small thing. Like, I just had to sign this document. I don't even remember what it was for exactly. Again, this is like just a whole bunch of legal stuff. And I'm like, oh gosh, am I signing stuff? I don't know. I read it and I talked to my attorney. He's like, no, we're good. And then we just did one more final appeal. And I think after that, it was only a couple months. It was like maybe 2 months from that final appeal. And we just got word, literally as I'm recording this episode. This episode's going to come out maybe a couple weeks after I record it. But as of recording this just a couple days ago, our attorney emailed us and said, we got approved. And I was so relieved. I honestly was shocked. I was thinking like, okay, there's gonna be like, we've already gotten rejected so many times. There's gotta be like a 20% chance we're gonna get this patent. And so when I saw that, I was kind of like in shock. I didn't really know what to say. And, my wife saw the email too, and she was like, wait, what? We got it? Like, we were shocked. We're texting our business partners and we're all just kind of like in this shock, like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. The timing of this could not be more perfect either. I know it seems like 3 years was a really long time to finally get your patent approved. And now I understand why everyone says patent pending. Like, you'll buy stuff and it'll be like patent pending, because like they could be pending for 3-5 years. So we never did that. We never did like the whole patent pending stuff. And we're just like, if we get it, we get it. And then we'll, put it on all of our products and update everything moving forward. But the timing again of this could not be better for our brand. We've seen sales start to flatline, meaning like we were experiencing explosive growth in our first year. But that's also a lot of that is due to the fact that we went from no product to 10 different SKUs. And so during that initial growth phase, you're really gaining market share, right? But then you reach market maturity, right? There's only so many people at any given day, any given month shopping for dog bananas on Amazon. I mean, you can see it in the keyword search results. Like for any product, you go to Jungle Scout, Keyword Scout, look up search data, and you can see there's only 20,000 people a month ever searching for this product. So at some point, you're going to reach market maturity. At some point, your sales are going to flatline because you've just reached, you're in a mature market. You've gained your market share. You've carved out your niche, and that is what it is. Now, what you don't want to do though is go down, right? You don't want to go downhill. If you're going downhill and sales are getting lower, then it's like, okay, something's happening. We got to figure out what's happening. And what we've seen just in the past 6 months are a ton of copycats. For the first 2 years, honestly 3 years, we're about 4 years in now. For about the first 2-3 years, we were just cruising. No copycats. We weren't really seeing any issues with other factories on Alibaba stealing our photos and stuff and copying our designs. But just recently, within the past 6 months, it's been an onslaught and it starts with the factories. Here's the big issue. It starts with the factories overseas. What factories on Alibaba and anywhere, honestly, I'm not like picking on Alibaba, but what factories will do in China is they will go and look on Amazon. They will go and look on Amazon US, and they will see what are the best selling products on Amazon. And they see, oh my gosh, Remy and Rue is crushing it for dog bandanas. So all these Chinese factories that are textile factories, they copy our photos straight from Amazon, just screenshot them or whatever they do, download, save them, they'd steal our photos, and then they look at our product, obviously from the photos, then they replicate it in their factory, and then they create a listing on Alibaba showing that they sell that product. And we've even gotten messages. I've gotten messages from you guys, podcast listeners, Instagram followers, who say, Andy, we found your factory on Alibaba. And I'm like, that's actually not our factory. That's another factory who stole our photos and is basically copying and knocking off our product. Well, all the, people out there who are trying to start an e-commerce brand and are like, I'm going to sell dog bananas. They go to Alibaba and they see those designs, those photos, and they're great photos because we took them. And they say, wow, those are really nice dog bananas. So then they buy them and then they start selling them on their Shopify store or now on Amazon. And so unfortunately, a lot of these people, they just don't know any better. They didn't do their research. They don't know that we exist. They just say, oh, I found these on Alibaba. I had no idea that another brand was even selling these. And then we have to shut them down through, Shopify IP. We have to shut them down through Amazon Brand Registry. We have to send them a cease and desist letter. But up until this point, we haven't really had the ammunition to really back it up. Like we can make a trademark claim. We can make a copyright claim to say, yeah, you're copying our designs. You're copying our brand. But without a patent in this case, right? We'll talk more about copyright in the next episode. But without a patent specifically, if they're copying our shape of our bandana and our leather tag and everything, even if they have different designs, there's nothing we can really do about that. There's nothing I can do. And there's a whole bunch of other brands out there that are literally copying our exact shape of our bandana, leather tag, everything. And they're their own brand. They got their own designs. Good for them for actually coming up with their own designs. But I can't do anything about that design, that shape. It's like, it sucks because like you guys didn't come up with that. You saw us and you copied us. You didn't change anything about it. But again, without the patent, we can't really do anything about it. So now the best part about getting the patent is now we can send a cease and desist letter to all these different brands that are, using our patented shape and say, you got to stop. Like you cannot sell that product anymore. And we have the patent to back it up. The other thing too is with Amazon Brand Registry, you can actually submit a claim through the brand services website. You can report a violation is what it's called. Let me actually show you guys right here really quickly. Right here within Amazon Brand Register, you can go to the report a violation tool. You can copy in an ASIN. Let me actually find an ASIN here really quickly. It actually doesn't even need to be our, oh, here we go. Perfect. So here's a big knockoff of us. I can copy in their ASIN, paste it in, and I can click here and say patent infringement. And I can say potential violation of my design patent, potential violation of my utility patent. So I could say potential violation of my design patent. Do you have a patent number? Yes. And I can put in my patent number and describe how they're infringing on the patent. So without a patent number, it's a lot harder to shut someone down. It's a lot harder to shut a brand down that's copying you because you don't have a patent. So you don't have a lot of backing to what you're trying to do to stop them. So again, this is huge for us in protecting our product, protecting our brand, protecting the uniqueness of our differentiation, and then moving forward, hopefully it helps really separate us from a lot of our competitors. And hopefully this can, help us continue to grow and scale our brand in new ways that we, haven't really been able to in the past because of maybe market share that's being taken by other knockoffs that are trying to sell. Like you see here, this is literally an exact replica of our product. They're selling a 6-pack for $22.99. So whoever this is, they're taking a lot smaller profit. So whatever, that's their choice, but they're selling knockoff versions of our product with our stolen photos. So again, we're stoked about the patent. Now, we're still not completely done with the process yet. It's still going to be about 6 weeks or so before we get the allowances, I think is what they're called, where that's like the issue date of the patent and all the description of, what is protected and all the language and everything. So we're probably still a few weeks out from actually going after a lot of these brands that are copying our shape or our designs and all that kind of stuff. But man, we are looking forward to the day when we can finally shut down all these copycats because it is frustrating. I'm not opposed. Here, I'll say this. I'm not opposed to people selling dog bandanas. I'm not. We did. We were not the first people to sell a dog bandana. We were not. It wasn't like we came up with the concept of a dog bandana. But the fact that people just straight up copy the exact replica of what someone else has put a lot of hard work into, that's what gets frustrating. Take elements of other brands you love, but make it your own, make it unique, change it in some way. Even if it's just a little simple way, it's not that hard. Like literally we sell a flat piece of fabric. We found a way to make it unique. So please, if you're listening and you're one of those, getting ready to start your brand or thinking about products, please just out of the courtesy of other people that are selling, find some way to make your product unique. And if you do come up with a really sweet, awesome uniqueness to your product, then go get a patent for it. Because again, if you grow, if you're successful, there's going to be copycats. It's going to be a never ending battle. But if you can have your trademark, your copyright, and your patent in your back pocket to protect you, it's going to be a whole lot easier to fend off all these people. Just to wrap up, I know I mentioned Alibaba. Like it starts with the factories stealing our photos, stealing our designs. Let me actually just go to Alibaba here really quickly. I'd be willing to bet if I type dog bandanas, I could probably find an image of one of our bandanas relatively quick. Oh, boom, that didn't take long. Right there on the first page. Boom, there's our stolen photos right there of our dog bandana. And here's what sucks about Alibaba. You can actually report this as well. I can report and say, hey, what the heck? This factory is stealing our photos from Amazon and saying that they sell this thing. This is not theirs. Those are our photos. Those are our designs. I cannot shut down this Alibaba listing without a copyright number or without a patent number. So here's what's cool. Like I know if you're listening to the podcast, you can't really see this, but if you're watching us on YouTube right now, oh, look, here's another one. Gosh, this makes me want to say swear words. Gosh, here's another one. There's three on page 1 of Alibaba of our bandanas, our photos straight from Amazon. They copied 3 different factories. Again, in order to shut down these listings through because Alibaba has a report a violation feature as well, I need to have a patent number or a copyright number. But even these other ones, like this one right here, I'm just clicking on a different listing. These are unique designs. These are not our designs, so good for them for having unique designs. But guess what? The shape of this bandana is our patented shape. So they will not be allowed to sell that shape of a bandana. So I can come in, again, this is going to be an ongoing battle, but we probably have to hire someone full-time just to do this job. Come to Alibaba, find factories that are using our shape and report them and report our patent and saying they are selling a patented shape of our bandana. They cannot sell this even though it is a unique design. So cutting them off at the source, hopefully that should prevent a lot of other people from selling our product because they won't be able to even see that it's an option. So they're going to have to stick to all these other crap bandanas that are on here. But yeah, that's just part of the battle. That's just part of the game. Once you get big, once you get successful, go ask Lululemon. I know the executives at Lululemon are not happy campers right now with all the Lululemon dupes everywhere all over the internet. But yeah, it's just part of business. Once you get big, once you get successful, the factories, the sellers, they'll come out of the woodworks to replicate what you've done successfully. And, they're trying to make money. So I understand why, even if it, isn't probably the most ethical way of going about it. Guys, next episode, I'm going to talk more about copywriting specifically because this is a different animal, a different thing you need to be aware of. And again, when you kind of pair up the trifecta of a trademark for your brand, copyright for your designs, and a patent for your product, that's really, really going to help you out in the long term. It's going to be a little expensive, right? It's a upfront investment. So maybe, start selling some product, see if you can gain a little momentum. But once you do not wait. We waited far too long to do our copyright, which we'll talk about. Man, so we spent thousands of dollars to do that and hours and hours of work and time to do it now because we have 50 to 100 different designs we had to file copyrights for. So yeah, start that off from the get-go. We'll talk more about in the next episode. Guys, I appreciate you. I appreciate the support of our brand. I know a lot of you guys have been buying our products. It means a lot to me, my wife, our business partners. So thank you guys so much for supporting us and our brand. I look forward to continuing to, like I've said in other episodes, bring you guys great free content, help, guidance, whatever you guys need. I'm stoked about our high-level programs right now. We're seeing great, I'm hesitant to say results because, we're still early in the Jaguar program with a lot of our students, but we're seeing great progress with a lot of our students, meaning they're moving forward, they're finding products, they're getting their branding kits designed for them, they're getting their factories hand delivered from my sourcing team, all this included in the Jaguar package. So we'll find your factories for you. We'll design your branding kit for you. You don't got to go pay a designer. You don't got to go pay a sourcing company. I'll help you set up your listing, right? I'll help you do all the listing creation for you / with you, I guess. There's more information about all this, on my website. So if you want to learn more about my 3 different programs, Piranha, Anaconda, Jaguar, hit up my website, andyisom.com. There's links there, but also andysomcoaching.com has more info specifically about the coaching programs. Guys, again, I appreciate you. Appreciate the support. You're listening to Selling on Amazon with Andy Isom. We'll see you in the next episode.